Welcome, everybody, to the newest edition of Retro Nerds Rewind podcast. And a special welcome to all of our new listeners on Spotify and iHeartRadio. Thank you very much for allowing us into your homes, into your cars, and definitely into your ears. We know you all will have a great time. So let's go ahead and introduce everybody here. First up, we've got Cody.
Howdy ho!
And we've got and finally we've got Jamal.
Yes, hello, yo.
And I am your host, Aaron. This week we are going to be going over Thundercats. Ho!
Oh! Wait, what'd you call my mom?
Oh, you know. I call her Mrs. Riley. So
only on the weekends.
So, all right, everybody, just a real quick question. We're going to be letting everybody know here. We're going to be going over Thundercats, which is one of my favorite shows growing up. I want to take everybody back on a real quick little story for part of my journey and love of the show. Now, obviously, the show came out, I think it was, 1985? If I remember correctly. Cody, you can fact check me real quick. 1985?
Yes.
Okay.
1985, you got it.
Perfect. I was 1 year old. I would this many. Okay. Fast forward a few more years to 1988. 4 years old, going to Warehouse Movie Video, walking through, finding this cartoon section with this awesome VHS foam cover. Remember how thick those covers were and how fluffy and stuff they were? That had Thundercats written on it with the and then Lino standing there, lurching forward, holding the Sword of Omens. Now, the 4-year-old that had basic television over the airwaves had never seen that before. You're talking, that looked amazing, right? I rented that movie so much that I wore it out. My dad got so sick of watching Thundercats. They had one copy at one time at the Warehouse Video. We got it. Someone had put gum in the binder, the turner, that ruined my dad's VHS player.
Oh,
Took it back. They gave my dad a free brand new VHS player. And then they got another copy of it. And of course, I rented it again. Thundercats was one of the shows that I absolutely loved my entire life. I own the entire 2 seasons on DVD for this. Paid the excruciatingly high price in the mid 2000s for it because you're talking 65 episodes a season. So it's like 8 DVDs per season that came through. Yeah, it was like $100 probably per season for it, at least. So, all right. You got my story. Now, Sean, had you ever watched Thundercats before this?
I must have. When it came out in the early 80s, I was still a wee lad and didn't really hit my formative years until the 90s. So it was like on the cusp of when I started watching cartoons. So I probably saw some reruns back in the day. Certainly aware of it. Certainly like knew it existed. I don't think I ever like sat down and watched every episode on Saturday.
Okay. What about you, Cody? I know you didn't watch it back then, but have you watched it since then?
I did, because this was when it was brought to Cartoon Network. I was a big Cartoon Network fan at the time. It was on during the same time that they were doing their 2 Scooby-Doo episodes. They would do What's New Scooby-Doo? And then it would be the version where they were the younger little like chibi versions of themselves afterwards, and then it would be Thundercats right after that. Okay. So often my cousin and I would be watching Thundercats shortly after Scooby-Doo.
Right. What about you, Jamal?
Nope. never watched Thundercats until recently, so it was all new to me. I was a little, like Sean said, a little too young. I was only about 2 years old when this dropped. So that's my story.
All right. Okay, so why don't we take a quick commercial break for Drawn to Comics, one of our longtime sponsors.
What's up, my nerds? So, quick break while we get back to our rewind, but I wanted to take a second here and do a little shout out for some of our sponsors. Starting with our longtime sponsor, Drawn to Comics. Drawn to Comics here in Glendale, Arizona. Amazing place to get your comic books. Located at 58th Avenue and Glendale. They have a discounts code for our listeners that we will provide at the end of the episode, but they're a fantastic comic book shop. Whenever I go in there, I always feel like I'm a VIP, and everyone that I've talked to that goes in there feels the same way. So cannot say enough great things about them. Drawn to Comics, drawntocomics.com, 58th Avenue in Glendale, here in Arizona.
And we are back. So, why don't we go ahead and hit rewind back to September 9th, 1985, Episode 1, Season 1, Exodus. Jay, take it away.
My. Alright, so I'm going to give a quick synopsis. Hopefully everybody can follow along. So if I'm looking down, I'm reading. But wow, that intro, typical 80s intro, like just comes at you. And like Aaron was already singing previously, the Thundercats. So, and then it opens on a spaceship, and then we see who you find out later to be Lino. I'm assuming a teenage boy. I can't really tell. Me and Cody both looked at each other, and it's like a naked boy, so he appears to be naked. And then we see a naked woman as well. Not weird at all, right? And then he's got his grandfather, I'm assuming, which is Old Man Jaga, is what I wrote down. Explains the history of their home planet, and there's like a planet in front of them on the spaceship, just to give you some context. And it explodes, and so they're watching it explode, and you just hear, Lion-O, oh no, and Jaga then tells Lion-O about the history of the Thundercat sword, which has the eyeball, and I guess it's like called the Omen sword, right, Aaron?
Sort of Omens.
Sort of Omen, yeah. And let's see, he then gives them all clothes randomly and weapons. So you have some like transformation going on. Apparently the old man has powers, which wasn't explained. Then space mutant pirates show up, and of course the mutants are also animals, but different forms of animals. So you got like lizards and stuff like that. And they're trying to board this ship, and they do succeed in boarding the ship, but then fail. I guess they're looking for the sword, which has powers, and that's their main objective. But they fail due to Lion-O activating the sword, and kind of like makes them scared, and they whimper away and flee the ship. Yeah. So after, there's like an intense battle on the ship, and then I think his name is Panthera. Locates a planet. I kind of, in my mind, it associated him with like Star Trek and Spock kind of vibes he was giving me. But he seems to locate Earth, and then Jaga explains that, in order to make this trip, like the other Thundercats need to go into cryo sleep. But in order to make it, somebody has to stay out of cryo and pilot the ship. So since he's older and he explains he doesn't have that much time to live, he offers himself up to do that. And so they all go into cryo sleep. He then passes away while piloting the ship on the trip to Earth. And then you kind of have this character named Snark, which I can't tell is a cat or half something.
Snarf.
Snarf. They land on Earth. The whole ship explodes due to, atmospheric pressure or something, I'm assuming. And then Snarf is the first one to wake up, and he tries to hand Lionel a teddy bear. But to everybody's surprise, Lionel is now a full-grown man, and a teddy bear, how dare you offer me a teddy bear? Get that crap out my face. I'm too old for that. And so Snarf is like pampering, oh, I guess, okay, whatever. And so Snark then jumps to get a closer look because the mutants have then entered and followed them onto Earth, and they're still looking for that sword. And so Snarf does some kind of jumping onto some rocks and then notices the sword magically happens to be right there. And he's trying to give it to Lionel. Lionel's like, not another stupid toy. I don't want that. Like, get that thing away from me. Then he notices that the mutants then find the other Thundercats who are still sleeping in the cryo tubes, I guess, of what you want to call them. And Lionel runs, and he's trying to, stop them. And somehow, magically, Snarf ends up tossing him the Thundercat's sword. And he magically catches it, and kind of He-Man style, I guess, if you will. He gets, a full charge of energy and remembers, I remember this sword. And then you have the theme song playing again, and then that sword wakes up all the Thundercats, the remaining Thundercats. And then they form a team. Jaga's spirit ends up showing up, telling him, about his past, and he'll always be there. And then a full battle intensifies. And Lionel then proclaims they will build a new empire on Earth. And that's the episode.
Good job, buddy.
So, really
Cody.
quick.
Yes. I heard you had some fun facts about this show.
Yes. So, the original show debuted from 1985 all the way to 1989. In fact, you said that you had only 2 seasons. Evidently, there's a total of 4 seasons. Season 1 had 65 episodes. Season 2 had 25. Season 3 had 20. And Season 4 had 20 as well.
So that there's still a total of 130
130 episodes, yes. They just broke it up.
So I'm guessing they broke it up later on because it's classified in lots of places as just 2 seasons.
Yes.
So
yeah. It was debuted evidently on the syndication network. So that's probably why they broke it up, because maybe that network was different. I've never heard of the syndication network.
The point is, Aaron has them all. So
yes, no, I don't doubt you on that. No, I was just saying it was everywhere I looked. It was very strict, saying it was broken up into 4 seasons. We have our lead supervisor, Lee Danisher. We have our lead writer, Leonard Starr. And very interestingly, it was animated by Japanese studio Pacific Animation Corporation, which, interesting enough, I wanted to look into this animation studio. They also helped animate very familiar shows that we may know: Chip 'n Dale's Rescue Rangers. They did Darkwing Duck.
nice.
Real Adventures of Johnny Quest for Cartoon Network.
Mm-hmm.
And for those who love JRPGs, they did the Tales of Symphonia video game. So they did a lot of very familiar stuff. So shortly in 2011, we have a Thundercats reboot via Cartoon Network. As early as 2020, we also came out with another Thundercats show Thundercats Roar, which also debuted on Cartoon Network as well. So they tried to revamp this or reestablish this show twice now. Which I haven't seen the newer shows. I've only seen the classic. Aaron, let me know if you've seen any of the newer ones.
Did watch some of the 2011 one that they did. That time frame, I couldn't get into it. There wasn't a whole lot of cartoons I was actually watching at that time. The only reason I checked it out initially was because it was Thundercats, and I'm like, oh, okay, well, you know, the newer kids will have fun with this. And then after a couple episodes, I just had other things on my plate in 2011, 2012. So it was, just different stage of life on things. I do kind of want to go back and watch it, especially now that I have kids. We can go back and compare and contrast and see which one they like better versus this. I did hear, I have seen online that the the newer series, the 2011 series, had a lot better long-term storytelling that went through it. So that does always pique my interest, especially as an adult now, because I love good storytelling. Maybe I'll check it out again. Like I said, watch it with the kids, see what they like better, go back and forth, and just enjoy it that way. But yeah. Do you have any others, Cody?
Those were my main interesting facts about all of this. I was just looking into this newest Thundercats Roar show.
That's kind of like a
for
Teen
2020.
Titans Go.
Yes.
Yeah, so I would not
That's
watch
what
it.
I was getting at. I was looking at this animation. I was like, oh,
No.
This is very different than what I thought it was gonna be.
It's a Teen Titans Go style show. Would not watch it. I've watched a couple episodes of Teen Titans Go. I like it, especially after the amazing Teen Titans series they did before that. It was very jarring and very hard to even try to get into. So it's just not for me.
Would agree with you. I would watch the 2011 one. It's more of a anime-y look to it, which is really kind of cool.
So, all right. Well, why don't we head on to our next commercial break real quick and enjoy these words from one of our sponsors.
What's up, my nerds? Sean here from Retro Nerds Rewind podcast. As you know, we'll get back to the podcast in just a second, but I wanted to take a second to mention our sponsor, Mediocre Studios. Now, don't let the name fool you. These guys are amazing. They are a veteran-founded small business specializing in 3D printing miniatures and tabletop terrain pieces. Yes, that's right. If you want your miniatures, tabletop terrain, or even that stuff painted, they can do all that stuff for you. If you want to print it out yourself, they've got the hookup for you there too. They are the official US distributor for the Uniformation 3D resin printers and are offering $80 off of the GK2 if you use our code RETRO. Those painting services, miniatures, and terrain pieces I mentioned, they'll hook you up there as well with 5% off if you use our code word REWIND. They are adding new products all the time from top modelers including Immaterium God Miniatures, Den of Imagination, DMG Minis, not to mention several other local talented artists. That's mediocre-studios.com. Go check them out. See what I'm talking about. These guys are incredible, and there's a reason that we love them so much, and you will too. All right, enough of me ranting. Let's get back to the podcast. I love to know what the hell is happening in this episode.
And we are back. All right, now we've all had a chance to hear Jamal's little rundown here. Let's get started with some of our episode notes and commentary on this from adult eyes and perspectives. Even though this is, like I said, a show that I loved growing up, I do try to keep that nostalgia a little bit separated from it. So, still try to let the adult part take over and go through it, and just have fun with it like we've been doing. So, but I mean, the show starts out with that iconic theme song and intro for it. I mean, the sound effects on it alone are so much better than most of your 80s cartoons.
Yeah.
Just even in the intro, they put a lot of work into it, and it's just amazing. Once you hear it, it's kind of an earworm too. It's where if something can, once you know it, it can trigger it in your brain. So, what do you guys think
I won't
about
lie,
that?
like that intro got me pumped to watch the show. I thought it was fantastic. The sound was amazing, and even the animation of all the jumping around, fighting, and kind of showing you what each Thundercat was good at was phenomenal.
I will say that immediately, first thing, and that's why it was interesting to find out that it was a Japanese studio that did the animation. The very first thing I thought, looking back on it and as an adult, kind of realizing this looks very similar to like Dragon Ball, Sailor Moon, all those types of shows that were going on around that same time frame too. And now I know why.
So then the next question could be is, do we want to classify this show as a cartoon, American cartoon, or do we want to give it an anime tag to it, considering it was done through a Japanese production studio that did all the animation for it?
I'm going to say anime.
I would
Then
say
it's
anime
American
as
cartoon.
well.
Was that Sean?
I'm going to disagree.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean,
Would
it's very well
say-
done.
Doesn't have the anime vibe to you?
No.
Okay.
The fights were too short.
Fair enough.
You haven't gotten into the episodes yet. No, I'm just kidding. No, there is no half-hour episodes of one person screaming at another one while they're powering up. That is true. So, that is a good anime trope for around that time frame. But so after we move out of the intro, we go right into it, and then we see, oh yeah, there's a bunch of naked cat people.
I think we all have the same comment. They all have the same exact
except for
reaction.
Jaga. Yeah, except for Jaga.
Yeah, the old man
has clothes.
The old man gets his clothes because he's wise and powerful and everything. But everyone else is weak and useless right now. Evidently.
Or he's just a perv.
Well, when you hear it later, he's kind of like the priest magician. He's the one that takes care of the ancient artifacts, and so that the clothing and the helmet were all symbolic for his position and stature. But everybody else on the entire planet, clothing was not necessary. And when he gives them their clothes, which we'll get to in a little bit, he does state that you're going to a planet where you'll need something to protect yourself. So it's not supposed to be like clothing as it is supposed to be like armor. So
can we mention really quick, speaking of animation, this is the one note that I had about it. Even though they were naked, they had onesies of fur.
That's my note as well.
Yes.
Like it was because it's first of all, it's very jarring that Jaga's the only one that has clothes and they're all very naked. It's like, okay, fine, whatever. But if you're looking at them, it looks like they're wearing leotards already, but they're not. They just have leg lines.
Mm-hmm.
Like you can tell these were modeled after the toys already.
Yeah.
yes.
But for whatever reason, the animators drew in the leg lines because they were going off of the toy models, but didn't bother to do like the arm lines and just go all in and make them look like dolls or action figures.
Yeah.
It was very weird. And then shortly after that, I've got a note here of they're watching the home planet explode in front of them, and boy, do I have notes. So first of all,
yeah,
good.
I was just to say, they woke up Lionel just to traumatize him.
Yeah. So like you got this planet exploding in front of them, and a couple of things, and then I'll get off my soapbox on this one. One, giving off very Alderaan Star Wars vibes, which we'll come back to later.
Yes.
And two, you've got this ship filled with, it sounded like the dignitaries of the planet, and they all just watch this planet explode, and the only one to react is Lionel. That's it. Everyone else is just like, and that's what happens. They were a little too accepting of the situation.
Yeah, you find out later. You find out later in the series they know why, and he doesn't.
Okay.
Lino doesn't. So, but yeah, I mean, my note with that scene was simply Lino's eyes and facial expression, and it was like they actually put some nice emotion into it. To give I spelled emotion way wrong in my notes apparently. But, so, yeah, it was a nice touch for me for something so early on in the series for them to have started then, especially when he was just the kid on that.
I was saying that Snarf was the VIP of this whole thing. He's the responsible one of everyone. Shame on everyone. We should be he's the role model for us. We need our beauty sleep. So he's my favorite character. Even though I know later on Snarf is everyone's least favorite character and the annoying little sidekick that every anime does. You have to have the animal annoying sidekick of every JRPG anime.
I think he was supposed to be one of the comic relief, right?
Yep. Yeah.
We go into the sort of Omen scene where Lino tries to pick it up, and of course it's too heavy for him. And it's not supposed to just symbolize that it's the weight of the sword, because he saw it's so small. But once it grows, as Lino's responsibility is supposed to be growing, that's why the weight is there. It's supposed to be the symbolism of the responsibility of being their leader and their king.
That's some inappropriate jokes.
The sword grew in his hand.
Dagger turned to sword.
Oh, it's funny. Snarf getting I was laughing. Snarf getting treated like the secretary of the group, getting kicked out. Like, I need to talk to this boy. Get the heck out of here. Come on. We just let's not go from there. And it's time for the magic clothes or the armor. It's just like this weird dust in his hand that just appears, and then he just, I'm gonna throw it at you, and then you all get turned on fairy dust. Woohoo! For Cody, he'd probably do it better, but
Yeah.
And may I just add again, I don't know if it was like a homoerotic thing with the 80s, but again, BDSM armor, like Panthera got spikes and leather, and
he got leather daddy.
Leather daddy.
Spike
cat daddy.
Yeah.
The only people that did not get they got clothes, but they did not get weapons or get any like explanation of what they do is the little twins. So they completely just got derailed from what their special thing is.
Wily Kit and Wily Cat.
Mm-hmm.
So poor twins.
And they didn't age, right, in the cryo?
Well, that's the kicker is you gotta remember everybody on there except for Lino is an elder. So they're already grown by them being.
So they're
telling you that
they're just
dwarves. All the elders of their society just on small. That one ship. So yeah, they don't grow anymore.
So the attack from the mutants is shortly after.
Right.
And go ahead, Aaron.
I was going to say, my note there was typical. They finally get dressed, and then they get attacked.
Yeah.
Mutants from the planet Plundar. Always those blasted mutants. I'm like, wait, always those blasted mutants? You said earlier you lived on a planet that was peaceful. Now we're talking about those blasted mutants. Really? Okay, sure. then, we've got the grappling ray. I guess I didn't want to get sued by Star Trek for calling it a tractor beam. And all the other ships. All the other ships got destroyed except for the one. I'm like, that really sucks.
Genocide.
That really
Genocide
sucks
of the cat people. They were very chill about everyone else dying.
Yes.
Those elders kind of suck.
Yeah.
Very much so.
So one thing that jumped out at me during this fight scene was, they're highlighting the new abilities of the Thundercats, and Pantaro, I can't pronounce it right. Panthro catches a spiked maul in his hands, and he's just like, ha ha ha, no. But the spikes would have gone through his palms. Because they showed the spikes on the outside. It's like, yeah, they're all over, so that wouldn't hurt. So he's invincible? Or is he just like super strong?
Those are those cat daddy powers.
It's the callous powers. He got calloused hands. He's the man that
he's immune to piercing damage.
He knows how to use those hands.
Was gonna also mention the mutants. We have an evil toad / lizard creature. What was the other thing? Is it a werewolf? Is it a hyena? Is it a werewolf monkey?
Dog.
It's a jackal.
It's a jackal. Okay. Oh. That makes sense now.
If you go and look up the names of the villains, all of them from the mutants, except for Slythe, have the name of the animal in them.
Got it.
His name is Jackal Man.
I get it now.
They hurt themselves with the cleverness of that, yeah.
Exactly.
Who could have seen it happening?
So then it moves over to Wily Kit and Wily Cat doing their super agility, moving around and grabbing something out of their pouches, which is where their only weapons lie. But of course, having never utilized them before, know exactly which one to grab, exactly what it does, and are able to get themselves out of the situation. I'm like, cool.
Part of the magic of those clothes, that leotard.
Plot armor.
That we never got to see, first of all.
Right.
Again, we completely skipped over them.
And Jackal Man's talking with Slythe, asking if he's ever even seen the Eye of Thundera. And Slythe says, yes, I've seen it. Yes. That's how he goes about it. I'm like, dude, chill. Don't want to know what's going through your brain while you're thinking about that sword. But then it goes back. My thought was like, wait, didn't Jaga say the sword was kept safe and no one had seen it for so many years before that? How old is this guy? So it's just whatever. Couldn't believe that.
So a couple seconds after that scene happens, I've got a note here. So the evil toad monkey werewolf guys, no one's stopping them from entering this super secret vault, and the only one there to stop them is Snarf and Lion-O. And Snarf just pounces on him, way to go, brave Snarf. But he is snarfing lucky that gun was just a net gun and not a blaster. Because that is some plot armor in effect. They're raiding this ship and they bring a net gun?
Of course. I mean, genocide only works when they're on a ship, not face to face. I mean, come on. They couldn't do that. So, I mean, it was the 80s after all. Who cares? So then we got Lion-O picking up the Sword of Omens. And all of a sudden, the villains are like, "Hey, look at this weak little brat. Can't even pick up the sword." And of course, he's trying with all his might, and the sword legit responds to him, showing that it is alive on its own and has its own magical properties. Makes itself fully extends, and scares him off entirely. Gets into a little fighting pose, and they just bolt.
Some might say has that effect on folks, Which also, it flashes too, which epilepsy warning on that as well.
An 80s cartoon. They're all the epilepsy warnings.
Yeah.
I love flashing swords. They're cool.
That's something I didn't need to know, Jamal.
So I got a question. A couple minutes later, after everyone on the ship is bailed and the ship's now taking damage and they're flying, and they said the only planet they can land on is in this little galaxy, and they show the Milky Way galaxy.
Yeah.
Or what looks like it. And it's the third planet from the sun that has oxygen. It's a blue planet. Like, I thought they said the sun was blue. It's supposed to be Earth, right?
Yeah.
Called it Third Earth.
Third Earth.
Yes.
Okay.
So, but yeah, basically it's supposed to be Earth.
Can we also back up really quick? When the mutants left a giant hole in the side of the spaceship. Everything is being sucked out of that spaceship. No zero G's in space.
Don't worry about that.
All right.
That's a good call.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I mean,
That's immediate. I was like, okay, everyone's dead now.
Come on, Panthro fixed it. I mean, you know, he was on it.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Come on, he just put his hand up on there,
Yep.
stopped it, and then slid some metal under there and was like, "We're good."
Yeah.
I go peace. Pop. So,
I just like, out of all sci-fi movies, they make it so apparent. Any sci-fi horror stuff,
That
that's
doesn't
like
fit
a
with the
major
target
thing.
demographic there.
I know,
They don't
I
think
know.
about that.
Fair enough. Fair enough. All right.
yeah, so then they go into the pods. They're stasis pods, which I think Cody had something about that he was.
I
wanting to
did.
say.
I said this plot sounds very familiar. Cough, cough. Planet of the Apes. Cough, cough.
A lot of sci-fi shows and movies utilize stasis pods, especially after the 80s. It really became popular. Next thing we have is, they decide. Obviously, they've decided that Jaga's gonna stay. He basically just told them, said, "Y'all got no choice. I'm the oldest. I couldn't survive it anyways, even if the robot pilot did work." Which I'm like, if you don't know it works, then why are you even trying it in the first place? Because we get to the point where he has to turn it on because he's dying. We don't know how long it's been. We have no semblance of time as it passes through all this. Jaga's bracelet beeps and lights up when it's time for him to die, and I'm like, can I get one of those? I'd love to know. As it gets closer that it's coming, that'd be great.
Yeah,
we technically have something like that, kind of life alert.
But yeah, I forgot to mention that when he passes, he just like evaporates.
It would start beeping and just be like, "Quick, clear my browser history."
Yeah, click.
His Apple Watch was notifying him to stand up periodically as he was driving the ship.
About that time.
My little note was he turned into golden liquid and disappeared. And I'm wondering, I'm like, was that golden liquid him? Or was it something else? We don't know. But it gave me very Yoda vibes with that.
Yeah.
Anybody else kind of get that little piece?
Yes, absolutely. It was like I was picking up more Obi-Wan when Vader like cuts him down, he just kind of disappears and his cloak falls. But yeah, definitely picking up Star Wars vibes there.
Definitely. That goes into the whole taking inspiration from other sci-fi movies. We already have Planet of the Apes / Lost in Space, and now we have Star Wars, which is another big franchise that came out around the same time frame, if I'm not mistaken, as well.
Yeah, because Star Wars was what, 76, 77?
Yeah.
And this would have been after Empire. Actually, which is kind of why to me it got the Yoda vibes, because Empire was what, 81, 82?
I think so.
So, and this came out 85. It was before Return. So we would have had it would have had that fresh in their minds of, hey, how can we make this guy disappear without attacking any kind of battle stuff? And I'm like, oh yeah, Yoda. Look at how Yoda
actually like. Yeah, you can't show the actual dead body on a cartoon. Was my thought as well.
Just skin and bone, just Oh
Yeah.
my god, he's there still.
Just
So
More trauma for Lino.
yes,
That's all I kept saying.
we have.
so we've got the. Sorry, go ahead, Aaron.
I was gonna say he gets the he does get the robot pilot or autopilot turned on before he dies. So at least we got that going, even though he wasn't sure it worked in the last scene that we knew about. But okay. Hopefully he fixed it in however much time it was.
Yeah, I'm just gonna call it, dude. You didn't fix it. It still broke because even though it did get him to the planet, it didn't bother to wake anyone up as they were entering orbit. Just like they just crashed. No warning. No. Yeah.
My note here was the robot pilot is terrible at landings.
Yeah, landing.
It started to go, and then it tilted and hit, and then just kept going. Like you hit the ground. Stop. Turn your thrusters off. Oh, nope. Just had to keep going and tear the whole ship apart and fall down. I'm like, jeez, come on. So
Luckily, those stasis pods kept all of them alive because none of them took any sort of damage or anything.
No bumps or anything.
Nope. No. So now we go into the scene where Lionel's waking up from his stasis pod, and we see that Lionel has changed from this little boy cat thing into a full-grown adult. And like here's where I was getting confused, because did he remember what it was like to be a child and then suddenly now he's adult? So like time did not pass while he was in the stasis pod? Because if that's the case, a lot of stuff doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
And here's me questioning the logistics of a show about talking cats. Right? So my guess is all the previous events must have just happened. So why does he not remember the mutants that were in his mind, probably there just yesterday or the day before?
Yeah.
I think it could have been maybe he was in the pod so much that he may have thought it was just a dream too.
I said the same thing, Sean.
My thought along those lines was, there have been other shows that have done when people waking up from some kind of stasis, that they're groggy, they're not all 100% with it. Certain elements that recently happened may have not turned into, they were stuck in short term, didn't get converted to long term because you weren't asleep, so your brain wasn't processing. Because a lot of times when they do these stasis, their body's put into hibernation where they're frozen type to an extent, so your brain can't process at the same rate it normally would. So to me, that's where my thoughts went when it came to something like that. So obviously back when I was a kid, didn't give a crap, but now
he goes.
Now that's where my mind goes, like, oh, he's foggy and needs like a jarring.
But then I was sorry, Aaron. I was gonna say,
ahead.
but then that goes out the window because he's like, "Oh man, my hands are bigger." So your hands are bigger and you're bigger. Why aren't you remembering? So you could remember that you were young.
Well, he was figuring it out. He remembered he was young. He didn't realize he had grown. I mean, that's why he hit his head 3 times getting
That's
out of
why
that pod, because he kept not realizing how big he was.
Yeah.
He also commented that Snarf was tiny now.
Tiny.
Yeah.
And everything is smaller now.
And he knew about the pod because he goes, "Oh, the pod is smaller."
Yes, because he doesn't realize, because obviously he's taller and everything like that. The main concern I had was his clothes. His shirt ripped, but you would think that his shorts would have turned from just like normal shorts to like booty shorts, but that did not
shorts.
happen.
He fit into those.
One can dream,
briefs.
I guess, right, Cody?
No, I do not want to dream about that. I was just like, okay, the mechanics of these clothes are very
He wasn't wearing shorts when he woke up. He was wearing underwear.
I guess.
You can say the same thing about Hulk, the Hulk cartoons and stuff. I mean, come on. How does he go from Bruce Banner to the Hulk and the pants stay on?
And the pan.
True.
I mean, them legs get thick, so it's and they're form fitting in the beginning.
Extra stretchy pants, as he says.
Denim. We all know it's denim. They don't stretch like that.
Purple denim.
We move on to the mutants coming out and Linus trying to go save the other Thundercats that are in the stasis. And I'm like, man, for someone who just woke up, and you're realizing how big you are, you sure do have great control over your body, being able to do those flips and jumps and not miss things and slide on your butt. I mean, come on. He remembers when they were teenagers growing into their bodies and not being able to just even walk right sometimes because it just felt so awkward going around. I mean, come on, it happens to everybody. It would have been huge for someone who had just grown literally from a preteen to a full, ripped Arnold Schwarzenegger adult.
That's a man, baby.
What is hit to him overnight, essentially.
Yeah.
Right.
So then next we get Jaga pulling the Obi-Wan force, being able to see him, being able to be there, talking to him.
Yet another Star Wars shaped pattern that I'm recognizing here.
Correct.
I will always be with you, my son.
It's exactly right. Telling him to look into the sword's hilt. And then, of course, while he's doing that, nobody's attacking him. Just standing around watching, don't see it. It's just like, oh, I'm going to talk to this dead guy's spirit over here. Then I'll look at the sword, see what happens. There's everybody where they are. Let's wake him up. But why aren't you stopping him? Come on. So...
Gonna make a quick correlation really quick when he was talking to Jaga and the whole I'll always be in your heart thing. In my head, another cat movie, I was like, oh, so Lion King took inspiration from Thundercats. I see now, because it's the whole Mufasa scene.
There you go.
There you go.
Nice. I'll take those.
Jaga just needs to take place in the clouds, and you got the
It's basically the same thing now. Also cats too, so
And I got to call out at the 19-minute and a half mark, we get our first Thundercats call out by Lion-O, and we all commented on this because this was iconic, where he shoots his projector cat signal into the sky and yells, "Do it, Aaron."
Thunder. 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 Thundercats. Oh.
Oh! Yeah. That was
his official magical girl transformation without having to transform.
Yes. It's a sword that transforms, not him. But it gives him nice powers.
And then at the almost the 20-minute mark, we all again have the same comment as all of the Thundercats are coming out. We all look at the twins, and the twins didn't age at all. We all kind of already slightly address it. They're elders; they're just tiny, but it's just
to
weird.
Preface though, they said slightly aged when Lionel went from 11, 10, 9, the youngest, maybe, to 23. Let's be generous.
Let's be very generous because of the scene that's coming up after this.
Yes.
Because leading into that scene, we're going to go ahead and transition over to the 21-minute mark, where everyone's looking at Lion-O's new body, and Chitara is swooning just a little too hard at the kid that she probably tucked in at night. And my thought was, she's supposed to represent a cheetah, right? Not a cougar?
Yeah.
Got him.
Got him.
Isn't she also supposed to be in a relationship with the other gentleman as well? I haven't. Again, it's been a minute since watching the original.
That might be
how you, buddy. Grown.
Yeah.
I could
That
have
might be in
sworn
later
that
episodes.
maybe.
So next time we get the Lino little pep
Pep
talk,
talk.
where you
Oh.
can definitely tell that he's very inexperienced about what he's doing. And then he goes and talks about how he wants to create a mighty new empire for them. And I'm like, wait, you have like 6 people and Snarf. What the hell are you talking about? You can't create an empire. You gotta go do some recruiting there, buddy. You better pray that there's somebody on this planet that actually wants to help you. Or at least get you off their planet. One way or another. So
They're just gonna claim it, you know. Typical.
Yeah.
everybody looks at him funny and is like, well, with your help, of course. And then they all bust out laughing, and I'm like, really? Real life, that'd have been more of a nervous laughter. Like, okay.
Dictatorship, yay!
We don't want this
Screen
little brat
freeze,
running
roll
everything.
credits. Yeah.
Which I mentioned during this part. I was like, okay, so throughout the whole episode and the intro and credits, the music slapped throughout the whole thing.
Yes. Yes, the music is awesome, and it's a lot of fun. So we've got
It is. It's good.
We've got our episode there, everybody.
Okay.
All right, well, let's head out to our final commercial break, and we'll be back here in just a couple minutes. All right, we are back. Thank you, everyone, for sticking with us so far. This has been a lot of fun. It was a great episode to watch and to go through with everybody here. Real quick, John, what were your thoughts on this episode?
I actually really enjoyed it. I'd like to see like a storyline where it has like continuous stories. Just maybe not episodic. That doesn't really appeal to me, but something with an overall storyline of these characters, I'd be very interested.
What about you, Jamal?
I would like to know more, like, backstory. So, I'd be interested. Lionel's definitely... I can get kind of where people, again, with the lore, if you will. So, pique my interest, maybe.
What about you,
Have to
Cody?
borrow
What do you
those
think about the
DVDs.
episode? Yeah, I'll share. You know me, I'll share. Plus, it is up on Disney Plus and Hulu.
It is.
So,
Yeah.
you don't have to necessarily borrow the DVDs. You can literally watch it from home already.
Yeah.
Disney.
I
Sponsor Disney, come on.
I thoroughly enjoyed this. This was a really good time, especially with me, because I know for a fact that my cousin was more interested in the show. I watched it with them just because I knew it was their favorite show. And that was just kind of what we would do is I would have him watch a show that I was interested in, and then we would watch something that he was interested in. And then later on, we would go play outside pretending to be Thundercats or Teen Titans or whatever shows that we were watching at that time. But Thundercats was a major one that we would play around as. So as an adult now, it'd be really fun to rewatch this and rekindle kind of like my love for this show. So I'm really excited to rewatch it.
And before I answer the question, let me give out our Geronda Comics discount code. And this week, our code is RETRO. So please step on in there, get your 10% off using the code RETRO to get 10% off your entire purchase, excluding specially marked items and consignment. So again, hit that word RETRO when you walk into Geronda Comics. Okay, so obviously this being a very special show for me. I love the episode. I've loved the show my whole life. It's been a lot of fun going through it. I've loved actually, going through all this stuff with you guys on almost every series we've gone through so far. Yeah, the Exodus is such a great episode. It's actually the next episode after this really ties into how the next season kind of goes. It ties it together where the mutants and the other major villain of the series, Mum-Ra, come together, and you learn about Mum-Ra and more about the mutants. You get to know a little bit about their backstory. So it's a lot of fun. I love the series. I'd be happy to even just do like a watch party with you guys if you wanted to. Even maybe do a live one where we watch it with our streamers on Twitch or YouTube live and all that fun stuff too.
Marathon.
Yeah, we could do that.
That would be fun.
It'd be fun. We can go through. We can pick specific episodes too, so we can avoid some of the filler, because there is obviously it's the 80s. There's filler, but there is some overall storylines too where you can get like toward the end, second season. There's some 5-part series. I mean, the finale. One of the ones that I had on the list was the very final episode there, where it literally wraps up the entire series, which in the 80s was very difficult to get them to even do.
Yeah.
I don't know of any other series that knew they're being canceled and was able to wrap it up and answer almost everything you ever wanted answered by it, except for Thundercats. So, yeah, that's mine. I mean, I loved it. I had a blast. So, all right, real quick, everyone, give me a quick rating on a scale of 1 to 10. How well you liked this, and if you'd want to watch more. Sean.
8. Yes. Hard yes.
Okay. Jamal.
7. So yeah.
Okay. Cody.
I'm gonna give this a 9 cat's eye gems out of 10.
Sounds good. 9. Aya Thundera.
I need more cat daddy in my life.
All right, guys. Well, thank you everyone for listening to us. Don't forget to hit the like, follow, subscribe to wherever you get your podcasts. Thank you to all the new listeners on Spotify and iHeartRadio. We're glad you guys are here. Glad we're able to be on there for you. And Cody, why don't you take us out?
All right, everyone. We're very excited to see you next time when we hit rewind. Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Well, thank you very much, guys. Hey, first off, I want to thank Peoria Championship Martial Arts. They have been a sponsor here since the very beginning. My family, in fact, actually goes to their school. So if you guys do decide to swing by, you will probably see us. Get to meet the kids, get to meet myself and my wife. We've been going there for 5 years. The school is amazing for kids as well as adults, has programs that reach both age groups. So their special for our listeners is $49 a month. $49 for the first 4 weeks. That includes your GI introductory lesson with Howard Munding, the instructor and owner of the school. Their website is martialartspeoria.com, and their phone number, where you can schedule your appointments easily with them, is 623-486-0970. Again, 623-486-0970. Peoria Championship Martial Arts in Peoria, Arizona. Feel free to give them a call. Thank you very much.